Marisa Contipelli for Bengals.com, checking in from the NFL Scouting Combine and having a chance to catch up with NFL insider Ian Rapoport. And Ian, earlier on Tuesday, quarterback Joe Burrow took to the podium. What were your initial takeaways when he was specifically asked about being the #1 draft pick?
You're never quite sure what the right thing to say is because Joe Burrow doesn't know he's going #1, and the Bengals don't know that they're going to take him. I think everyone thinks he probably will and thinks the Bengals will probably take him, but really nobody knows. I mean, it's a long process, and Duke Tobin has become very, very good at this, in part because he really does trust the process and lets it play out. So I don't think anyone's going to jump to conclusions, right? So you have to sort of parse the words a little bit, but to me, the only thing that you wanted to hear from Joe Burrow was, I will go where I'm drafted, right? Like, he's never going to say, I was born to be a Bengal, because what if they trade the pick? Like, I don't think it's likely, but you also don't know what trade offers are going to come, right? So the only thing you care is, if they pick you, will you go? And he said very clearly, I will go. Like, what's he going to do, not play, right? So to me, and then, mention some other things about the distance to his family, I think, which would be a positive. To me, it makes a lot of sense. I think being bad is terrible. And, as Duke Tobin has told me, like, the process to get there, to get to the #1 pick was awful. But it's really an unbelievable thing to restart a franchise, to have the chance to take one of the best prospects we've seen in a long time. And he's kind of local, and he'd go if picked. I think there's a lot of good things that came out of Tuesday.
You mentioned that scouting process that Duke Tobin talks about. Both he and Zach Taylor had said they want to do their due diligence. There are a lot of other talented quarterbacks in this draft class, but do you think that Joe Burrow would be the right fit in Cincinnati?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, it's, you do this a lot, and you hear the top quarterbacks, and you see guys who are drafted highly, and every year there's going to be quarterbacks drafted in the top 5, a lot of times #1. You basically just, if you need a quarterback and he's there, you have to take him, right? Joe Burrow probably has the least questions that I can remember, honestly, probably since Andrew Luck. Like, his attitude is great. His teammates love him. He is a killer. He's funny. He can throw it well enough. I mean, the arm strength would be the only sort of thing, but it's like, I mean, how many 7-yard balls is he going to throw? The best thing, though, and I've had an interesting, fun time talking about Burrow with some of the scouts and GMs here in Indianapolis. What they love is he processes the field so fast, the whole field so fast. And that's the hardest thing for an NFL quarterback, is, can you see what's in front of you? And he is already there. And the more they gave him at LSU, it was almost like the better he became. So to me, like, this is a very good situation for the Bengals to be in.
Joe Burrow also mentioned that he will not throw or work out this week here in Indianapolis. Do you feel like that's the right decision for him to make, or is there any concern to that whatsoever?
I mean, I'm selfish because I love the Combine and I want everyone to throw here, but I don't think it matters. I mean, if he does, some quarterbacks don't like it because you're throwing unfamiliar receivers, so they don't know what they're doing. They don't know your ball, a couple of drops that maybe they do the wrong thing or run the wrong speed, and makes you look bad. Like, I don't really care. He's going to throw. It's just not going to be here. He'll do it as LSU's pro day. I wish I was going down there so I could eat some of the food and hang out at LSU, because it's a great place. Go watch some college baseball. It's the right decision for him, and I think in the end, honestly, who cares? So whatever makes him comfortable is fine by me.
So much talk has been around the Bengals and the quarterback position, but there are other areas they need to address, specifically on the defense. Could we see some names at 33 that kind of spark your interest, the guys that maybe we should be keeping an eye on here at the Combine that could be on the board when the Bengals are on the clock?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's probably a little early to get into kind of where guys might get drafted, mainly because, in my job, I'm so focused on free agency right now that it's like tough to narrow it down. But, I think the great thing for the Bengals is, first of all, that's a good spot. It's a lot of times a trade spot. It's a lot of times a spot to back up and build depth. They could take whatever, and I would be, it's a team that's on the build, so they could get help in a lot of areas. I think they're going to have a lot of really good options.
Ian, thank you so much for spending some time with us.
All right, thank you.